Hey friends, what is up? My name is Julie and welcome back to my farm. I'm about to take you with me to try a little experiment with the sheep, but it looks like my pumpkin delivery is here. And if you saw the last video, you know that we got a whole lot of pumpkins from our local cooperative extension, but they got a whole other trailer load and they just want to get rid of them, so they're dropping them off right now. That's good. This thing's cool. Does the extension own this or
the trailer?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, all kinds of mulch, soil, compost.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Whatever we need it for.
It's trying. Oh, there's like huge ones in the back. Oh my god. There it goes. Some other people to come get what they want. Well, that was super nice of them to do that for us. And now I have an even bigger mountain of pumpkins and squashes. Excellent. Animals are gonna be so happy. All right, we're gonna head up to the sheep. I'm gonna grab Maple to come with us because I think she's gonna be kind of helpful on this mission. You ready to go? Yeah. Oh, you're a good girl. Let's go do chores. Come on, to the sheep. Good girl. Let's go. So, back to my experiment with the sheep. If you've watched the channel much at all, you'll know that we rotationally graze both our sheep and our goats here. It's something I strongly believe in is best for both the animals and the land. And in fact, it's one of the core tenets of this farm. And we've been diligently practicing that from day one of getting these animals. Now it's early December here in North Carolina, and that is about the time where we transition from fall to winter. And it looks like we're gonna have warm temperatures this week, and then we'll kind of settle into our winter cooler temperatures. So it's about the time that we move the sheep into their barn area, and we've done that, which means they're off of the pasture and they're eating hay. And we'll do this for a couple of months. The advantages are that we can keep them in a barn area where we can keep a close eye on our mamas who are expected to lamb any day now. We expect our lambs anywhere from December through March. And since during that time period, there's typically not a lot of grass growing, it's really the best time to have them in a fixed dry lot area and give this pasture a rest. Now, feeding this many animals hay for 4 months can get really expensive. And with everything going on this past year between droughts in most of the western United States and the price of everything in agriculture going up, I expected hay to be difficult to get and expensive. And while we have been pretty lucky in that regard this year, we did go ahead and hand broadcast a little bit of annual ryegrass seed in this field. It's a good cool season grass that grows very well in this area as long as you get a little bit of rainfall. And again, we've been lucky in that regard. I know from using it in the past, the seed is really resilient, so it did germinate pretty well. It's patchy, but there's definitely enough for the sheep to eat at this point. Going back to rotationally grazing these guys every day is a lot of work for me. And honestly, it's really nice this time of year to have the animals in a fixed area so that I can save those couple hours of labor every day. And I can focus on other things like preserving food. I'm rendering lard and making yogurt today. And then later on, I'm gonna edit this video. Plus, having that downtime really helps with managing burnout. The work on a farm can get really monotonous and it can be intense and it can really wear you out after a while. So it's nice to have a couple months where we're not spending all that time hauling fences around. My other concern is that if I do move these sheep out of this barn area and then we start to have lambs, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to separate out the mamas and the babies and get them back over to the barn to my lambing stalls so I can make sure that they bond properly and that mom is healthy and all the things that I need to do right after she gives birth. So if I move them back out on pasture, I run the risk of them lambing out in the elements and not having access to a good shelter. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about allowing these sheep to have this whole 4-acre pasture. Well, almost all of it. I've got my goats over in this little wooded patch over here, so they'd be excluded from the goats. They would share a fence line with the goats, which could be problematic, but honestly, I don't think it will be. I used to have a ram and a buck that would get out of each other's fences to intentionally fight with each other. I don't have any animals like that in either of these flocks right now, so I think the worst they're gonna do is, you know, call at each other over the fence. And I think the goats are gonna be a little bit jealous that the sheep get all this freedom. But that's really not my main concern. My main concern is what they're gonna do to this field. So the first risk is that they're going to just destroy this grass that I've seeded. And really that's okay. I think I spent maybe $150 on seed altogether for this 4-acre field. So I'm not talking about a huge loss if I just get a couple days grazing out of it and it doesn't grow back. But in my experience, it's really gonna like being grazed and it'll probably grow back stronger. My other concern is that by moving them off of hay onto this lush green grass is going to give some of them diarrhea. That's something that I can manage. My sheep are pretty smart about what they eat. There is quite a bit of mature stuff out here still that they will eat as well. They're pretty good at knowing how to balance and manage their gut. And then in my plan, they would also still have access to the barn, so I can still provide hay if they need that dry roughage to help balance things. This pasture is the only part of my property that has a good solid hard perimeter fence. It is a welded wire fence and it is complete on 3 sides. I would just have to fence off this one short side and then I would have to connect the fences to the goat fence. But I would give the sheep roughly 3 3/4 acres to roam. I've never done that with these sheep. They've gotten out on me before and they've gone crazy on this field, but only for a few minutes before I could get them back in. They might get stupid, they might overeat, but in case I need to get them off this field, if things go awry, I'm going to leave most of these fences where they are, which gives me the option of calling them back and fencing them back into the barn and just quitting this old experiment if I need to. My plan is to only allow them out here for 4 or 5 days. So it's not like I'm completely switching our principles to open field grazing. I still consider this a rotation. It's just a rotation over a large area. It's not the intensive sort of mob grazing style that we normally apply. Looking at the weather, that's gonna fit the schedule really nicely. In my experience, my ewes don't like to lamb when it's warm, and it's gonna be really warm the next 5 days, and then the temperature is gonna dip. And when we get those severe dips, they really do like to lamb. So we'll bring them back in the barn, and then we will probably rest this field for about 30 days. We'll just keep an eye on how fast this grass grows. Sometimes it grows really fast. And then if this works well, we'll do it again. We'll let them back out for 4 or 5 days again, and then back in the barn. And I'm hoping this switching back and forth of their diet is not gonna upset their digestive systems too much. I'm gonna make sure they have access to hay at all times. Although these sheep traditionally will not touch a bite of hay if they have a single blade of grass available to them. They are very stubborn about that. My goats could care less. Food is food. They'll eat it all. It'll be there if they need it. Sheep are really good at knowing what they need. So I'm gonna trust them a little bit to be responsible here. I think they will really enjoy that. It'll get some of the early lambs started eating grass a little bit sooner. So I think it'll help develop their gut microbiome a little faster. And hopefully it's gonna help cut my hay bill. So I think I've thought through all the pitfalls. I got my girl Maple out here to help me if the sheep go crazy and I need to herd them. So I think it's time to get started putting up these fences, and then we'll let them out. So I've got the one fence that I need to add, put up, got it hooked up to their existing fence. So my plan is to open up this side and wrap it around where the goat fence is. As soon as I open this, they're gonna come out. So I gotta get Maple out of here and make sure everything's secure. Stay. All right, Mama, I need you to watch these sheep. Make sure nobody goes crazy. You got it, Maple? Yeah. So normally these sheep would be all bawing and yelling at me. They have no idea what they're in for. No takers? Suspicious? They were suspicious at first, but they figured it out. As soon as one goes, they're all like, where are you going? What's over there? All right, I gotta get this fence closed up. I had to rush and get this fence moved over because they started to stampede. But they're distracted now. Maple's on top of it too. Good girl, just hold. Good girl, Maple. Oops, sort of forgot that the goat fence was still on. So I gotta run and shut that off before I shock myself anymore. Sorry, goats. Maple, come. All done, let's go. Maple, what'd I say? All done. Come. Maple, out. Good girl. Good girl. So they handled that a whole lot better than I thought they were. I thought they were gonna run around and yell and baa and make a big fuss, but instead they're just going straight to eating. And I'm gonna walk around a little bit. I'm really curious what they're eating. From what I've seen so far, it looks like they're eating a mix of everything. The old mature weeds and the new ryegrass and the brassicas. We had a good regrowth of dock the last few weeks, and I know they like that. So as long as they're eating a good variety and not just focusing on one thing, I think they're gonna be fine. Maple's still not sure. They're good. They're being good. They will probably kill some of this grass. They may pull the roots up. But I think most of it is pretty securely rooted at this point. What did they find over here? Looks like clover, maybe? Eating something. Not clover. I thought it was dollarweed, maybe, but it's not. I'll have to look that up. They seem to like it. It might be chickweed. I'm not sure. They're staying in a close group so far. They're mob grazing themselves. Which just goes to show you that by doing the intensive rotational grazing, we are mimicking what they would do in nature. They would be a tight-knit nomadic group, and they would move from grassy plain to grassy plain, eating what they could and then moving on and then coming back as the seasons changed. Hi, sweetie. Hi, Ray. So pretty. So I think my money's on Beverly here. Be the first one to lamb. She had a stillborn last year, which means she would potentially cycle back sooner than some of the others that were still raising lambs. And she's got a pretty significant udder on her already. It's gonna be her or Bonnie. I'll try to show you Bonnie. She's over here. That's Bonnie. Oh. Otherwise known as half and half. She's starting to walk a little bow-legged because her udder is so full. So as soon as I see it pop, I'll know that she's ready to lamb. Hi, Doctor. You guys remember Doctor? This is my St. Croix ram from Greg Judy's flock. He's looking manly. Looking forward to seeing some of his babies this year. So a couple are spreading out, but still most of them are bunching together. Last thing to do before I leave is hook this charger up. I'm using the 2-joule charger for this many fences. It shouldn't have a problem powering them. Oh yeah, that's a pretty spicy fence for powering like 5 nets. Awesome. So it's been about 3 hours, and it looks like they are mostly hanging out by the barn, waiting for me to feed them. So let's do that. It's much easier to feed them their grain by filling the feed pans on the outside of the fence and then putting the pans in. If I try to go in there and pour them, they'll knock me down, they'll bang the bucket, stick their head in it, and the feed will end up all over the ground instead. So I get a lot more of it in the actual pans if I do it this way. Hi, Junie. You're not supposed to do that. Yeah, off. That's why I turn the fence off when I do this, so I don't shock myself every time. Look, I'm not eating, Claire. Hey, Blanche. So I do have a couple of ewes that are not eating the grain, and that's unusual. They were eating it this morning. They are very pregnant though, and sheep, just like humans, get morning sickness or nausea. I'm gonna go over and investigate this one over here. Her belly's hanging really low. She's got an arched back, which can indicate some pain. She might just be really full. She might be really pregnant. She might be having false labor pains. We're gonna go check it out. Hey, girls. I see a bunch of these girls tapped out on the grain before it was gone. You can see there's still quite a few eating. So they're probably just really full. The bigger the lambs get in their wombs, the more crowded it gets in there and less space their rumen has to expand. So they can't eat as big of meals anymore. So they may have just filled up in this field and just simply don't have enough room left for a lot of grain. Hey, girl. Well, she's moving normal. Sticking with the group now, so I'm not so worried. She really doesn't have much of an udder, although I'm sure she's pregnant. So I'm guessing that she's just very full. Walking around, I don't see anybody with diarrhea. Everyone's looking pretty perky. So far, so good. I'm gonna check back with you guys tomorrow when I feed the sheep in the morning, and we'll see how everybody's doing. We'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, fat girls. Do you even want your grain? Maybe? You're very fat. Oh my goodness. Girls. Good morning, Delilah. Okay, I'll get you breakfast. Hey friends, it's the next day, and my first impression of these sheep is that they are very fat and happy, which is exactly what I wanted to see. I'm gonna go ahead and feed them their grain and make sure that everybody is acting normal. But so far, it's looking like my experiment is working quite well. So I've still got this one girl out here that is not interested in grain, isn't moving around a whole lot. She looks like she might be grazing a little, but at least she came in closer to the flock. She's definitely nibbling a little bit, and every time I've tried to catch her, she runs from me like nothing's wrong with her. And I did see her poop and it was normal, so I'm not too concerned. But everybody else doing great. They seem super relaxed, and I've seen them move as a tight-knit group around the field. While I'm not watching them 24 hours a day, I do come up a couple times during the day, and I've really only seen them hit a few spots close to this fence and a little bit up the tree line on the side there. So I think they have quite a bit of the pasture left to explore and to nibble from. And it looks like they're not totally decimating the areas that they are concentrating on, which is what I wanted to also see. I am a little concerned about bloat. It's really hard to tell in these super pregnant females, but I'm probably gonna put out a little bit of baking soda just to be safe. Hi, Darcy. Hi, Darcy. You like that grain? Oh, where's my good girl? You're so pretty. Good girl, Darcy. Oh, yeah. Guess they're going right back out to graze. So while it's only been a little over a day, I'm gonna go ahead and call this a success. Of course, if there are any relevant developments in the next few days, then I will be sure to update you guys on the next video. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate your support. And if you want to watch the video where I talk about how we normally rotationally graze these sheep, you can check it out right here. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And of course, the very next morning, my ewe that was acting off is aggressively eating grain. Yep, back to normal.